This is Schedule 1 in its very early prototype phase. What you're seeing is the rough layout of the open world area of the game, and from this point on, the creator would continue to iterate upon the map by adding in safe houses and properties you can buy to expand your empire. As development continued, the creator would also create a custom character creation tool from the ground up to set up the NPC appearances, creating the framework for the future of the game. And yes, I keep saying creator because this entire video game was made predominantly by just one person. We know him as Tyler. Tyler from Tyler Video Game Studios. Schedule 1 peaked at almost 500,000 concurrent players on Steam last month, making the creator a multi-millionaire in the process, and simultaneously outperforming massive AAA video game franchises in the process. Today, I will go over the full development history of Schedule 1 and answer the question of how one singular developer made one of the most addicting games I've played in a long time. Schedule 1 began development in March of 2022. However, Tyler had already been making hobby projects here and there for a while now. Before we get into the development of Schedule 1, we have to acknowledge what Tyler was working on before. He got his start with Roblox and creating small minigames inside of the Roblox game engine itself. From that point on, he was absolutely in love with making games and wanted to keep doing it in hopes of one day making a career out of it. And for those who aren't aware of how Roblox works, it's basically a platform for creators to make their own minigames, including tycoon-style games. And it's easy to see the correlation between Schedule 1 and these classic old-school tycoon games. But there was one massive problem that I have not mentioned yet. Tyler had no formal education in software development or game design, so he really didn't have much expertise in how a game was made. But this didn't deter him from trying. Like I said, he started his journey in Roblox and began learning how the scripting language in that game worked. Roblox was built on top of Lua, and he quickly learned how to make a ton of minigames in Roblox. And in the game, you can make tycoon-style minigames where you earn money and upgrade your resources, which is awfully familiar to how Schedule 1 plays. From his learnings about Lua and how it worked hand in hand with Roblox's game development, he would switch from Roblox minigames to Unity and began learning how Unity worked. Throughout his self-learnings, he would continue to work on hobby projects throughout the next half-decade. And again, it was all self-taught. Teaching yourself game development from scratch with no formal training takes a lot of research and time. Many new indie developers turn to online boot camps and workshops from platforms like Udemy or Skillshare. However, this path often requires handing over sensitive personal information just to sign up. And once this data is out, you lose control over who accesses, shares, or profits from it. That's where this channel's first ever sponsor, Incogni, comes in. Incogni helps clean up the mess by automatically reaching out to data brokers and demanding they delete your personal data. If you're an indie developer trying to learn how to build something of your own, it's also a big security risk, and one that gets often overlooked. When you're signing up for dozens of online resources, you're constantly handing over bits of personal information. You rarely stop to think about where that data ends up. Incogni takes care of this by sending legal removal requests to over 180 known data brokers, using privacy laws like GDPR and CCPA to force them to delete your data. Incogni tracks everything in a clean dashboard, showing you which companies have complied and when. Incogni also keeps monitoring and repeating removal requests regularly to make sure your data doesn't get re-added. And I think it's very important that we don't let others profit off of our own personal data. Incogni is the easiest way to protect your identity, clean up your digital footprint, and is absolutely risk-free as the subscription comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. You can use code POUNDER at the link below and get 60% off an annual plan, and I strongly recommend you try it out.
I guess, I mean, there's so many good YouTube videos now and series you can follow along. Like, if you're wanting to start with Unity, just go with a beginner series that walks through everything and just start making something, you know? You'll probably make mistakes and stuff, that's fine. Just do small little projects, walk through tutorials, it's just, yeah, persistence and patience, and you'll get the hang of it over time.
In March of 2022, Tyler began development of Schedule 1. Tyler wanted the core gameplay loop to be similar to other tycoon games like Drug Dealer Simulator. The core loop of tycoon-style games is pretty simple. For Schedule 1, he wanted it to be the following. 1. You grow your own product, and 2. Distribute your own product, and then finally, you use the earnings from distributing to keep expanding your empire. He started with a simple loop, starting with a very simple prototype, including what the open world would look like. He settled for a simple cartoony look for this game, and that's going to be a running theme throughout the development of this game. Since it was just him working on the project, there wouldn't be any time for overtly intensive graphics, orchestral soundtracks, or complex story. In fact, while developing this game, Tyler had some help from his friends. He needed some voice actors for the game, so he invited his friends over, gave them some beers, and went to town on recording the in-game NPC dialogues. I'm not joking. The voiceovers in this game were made while Tyler and his friends were drinking and just having fun. Give it a listen.
Okay. Alright.
As you can tell, the core development of this game from Tyler was entirely about having fun, and you can totally see that in the final game. There are funny adverts of like Coke, for example, just littered throughout the game. But like I said, Tyler didn't make this game a graphical showcase. Not only was this because of Tyler's not so in-depth expertise of creating graphics, but also the reality of the game's theme itself. It's a little bit grim, so he thought a more cartoony style might lighten it up a little bit and make it more fun to play, which is certainly the case here. The original prototype relied heavily on the Unity Asset Store. Originally, when designing the roads for Schedule 1, Tyler used a free Unity asset called Easy Roads to help him build the roads in the game. You can see them being used in this original prototype. One of the things that Tyler spent some time on is creating tools in Unity to help him speed up building the game itself. One tool, for example, is his own custom NPC creator that he uses extensively to populate the city. It's incredible to see something like this because, like I said, Tyler had no prior professional history in game development. However, he learned the importance of iterating and creating tools to help guide the project through its development, all on his own. The 3-year development itself is somewhat unknown besides some interesting tidbits like the Drunken Friends NPC dialogue story. And as we know now, the game is still not complete. It's still in early access with Tyler continuously updating the game. But this shouldn't deter anyone away from the actual history of the game. The success story is just getting started, with one inflection point that changed the course of history of Schedule 1 forever. If you're enjoying this deep dive into Schedule 1's development, consider subscribing. This channel is still growing, and it would mean a lot to me if you took a second to subscribe and like this video. With that, let's explore what caused this game to have incredible growth.
Jesse, do I have a surprise for you? Brand new strand, ain't nobody ever had this before.
In December of 2024, Tyler finally released his snippet of Schedule 1 to the world, and to be honest, it didn't have much fanfare. For the first 2 months, the game would barely break 1,000 concurrent players on Steam. Its official reveal trailer wouldn't cross over 25,000 viewers either within the same time frame. So what caused the explosion of players that we now see in the game? Well, the short answer is the streaming community. Schedule 1 is a very streamer-friendly game. Popular streamers like XQC and Queso were amongst the first big-name streamers to highlight this game, and the streamers checking out the demo correlates very closely to the spikes in popularity. And just a couple of days after Queso started his playthrough, Tyler released the full game onto Steam in early access, and almost immediately, the game surpassed over 400,000 active players, and would go on to overtake popular AAA released games. Not only did Tyler create a hit, but as a solo developer who had no publisher, all he had to worry about were Steam-related fees and local taxes. By the end of May 2025, Schedule 1 had garnered over 8 million sales, generating over $125 million in revenue. After Steam's cut, that amount goes down to $87.5 million pre-tax. But still, it's safe to say that Tyler has the rest of his life in a pretty good place right now. But despite these extremely impressive sales numbers, Tyler's still working on the game. In fact, he's been doing developer streams where he works on the game live. The latest update, for example, added lockers for your staff to use, and most of the creation of the lockers were done on a live stream. This wasn't any fancy live stream either. It was just Tyler working in Unity, asking questions from people, and adding in cool features. And this also highlights one of the most impressive parts of this game's development. It's still not done, and as we know, the game's still in early access, so we're actually living through the development of this game as we speak. Tyler is working on new features that he prioritizes openly with the community on a Jira board. So with that being said, where does Tyler go from here?
Closely trailing it is Schedule 1 from TVGS, a solo developer in Australia. It's inspiring that these indie creations stand side by side with heavyweights like Monster Hunter Wilds and the Oblivion remake. Absolutely.
Like I said, Tyler's still actively working on this game. His priorities now are available to anyone to see online. But on top of this, he also hired a company to port the game to PlayStation and Xbox consoles. With that happening, I can only imagine how many more players will end up checking this game out and further increasing sales. Alongside the expansion to consoles, Tyler has continuously and actively been showing off what he's been working on his Twitter page. Not only is Tyler expanding the game, but he's getting industry-wide acclaim too. Just like the creators of Expedition 33, his story is an increasingly common story that's occurring throughout the entire gaming industry. Gaming has been a bit rocky lately, with mass layoffs, uncontrollable budgets, and prices increasing throughout the AAA industry. But games like Schedule 1 and Expedition 33 proved to the world that the solution to the decline in gaming was in front of us all this time. Independently owned and created games are the way forward. This also isn't a rare occurrence anymore. I already mentioned Expedition 33, but games like Repo and Balatro also share a similar success story to Schedule 1. Whatever the future may hold for Tyler and Schedule 1, I think everybody is happy to welcome smaller independent teams creating games over the current landscape of AAA releases in any scenario. A lot of the content in this video was made in collaboration with Big Willie. If you guys want more information on the inner workings of Schedule 1, show him some love. And as always, thank you.